Greetings, fellow Americans. Welcome to Fireside Chats, State of Our Nation. I am your host, Susanna Tanner, candidate for President 2028. So, we have had some pretty big storms happen in the Midwest, as well as the southeastern portion of the United States. Texas, Oklahoma, all the way through Missouri. St. Louis, I know, was hit with a tornado yesterday or the day before. And today, just today, there's been a massive outbreak of tornadoes that is still occurring as we are live right now. This is in Texas and Oklahoma, and that whole southern area down there. They are under a lot of tornado watches, tornado warnings, and there has been reports of CD-sized hail in some of at least one of these storms. That is some pretty big hail. CDs are about this big. That's very huge. That could do a lot of damage to vehicles, to homes, break glass. It is very important to stay safe during storms like this. So don't go outside. Minimize how much you're recording if you can, if you're in danger especially. So one of the things that I would like to address with this is that these areas are going to need relief efforts. Now, as I understand it, for the St. Louis disaster, the tornado that hit there, they have had an incredible response from different agencies that are ready to help with relief, with disaster relief, cleanup, as well as supporting individuals within the community, making sure that people have what they need to eat, to be sheltered and such. I also understand from a briefing either this morning or yesterday that Verizon is helping with mobile charging units. So people can charge their phones, their devices, and be able to maintain communication. And they've also donated $10,000 to, I believe it is the Red Cross or the FEMA, the St. Louis division of FEMA. I believe it's the Red Cross. I'll double check on that. So this is actually really awesome because it shows that our communities, even our smaller communities, are ready to come together to help with disaster relief, to make sure that, you know, our fellow community members are taken care of, that they have what they need to get through this. And it's really nice to see that we have so many amazing agencies in our little communities, our cities and our towns, that are able to be ready for these disasters, to help with cleanup and make sure that community members have what they need. I find that to be very comforting. There's not a lot of areas outside of the United States or free nations that have these types of responses, especially in very low-income areas. And within our community, within our national community, we have a lot of low-income areas. So making sure that we all work together in some way to help make sure our communities are back up and running, that people have their homes, that they are not without, that they are not without. They are not with some sort of let's say fake information, misinformation. You know, some of the disasters that I've seen happen, or at least one of them anyway, during Hurricanes Helene and Milton, there were reports of people being told outrageous things like that FEMA was going to take their homes if they didn't pay back any funding that they received, and different stuff like that. Keeping that to a minimum is definitely a goal with any disaster. We need people to be able to apply for these disaster relief efforts, to be able to go in and help recover and make sure that, you know, our communities have what they need. So I'm really really happy about the response for these disasters. There is another incident that happened yesterday. A Mexican training boat, as I understand it, hit the Brooklyn Bridge. A couple of its masts broke off, and it also slammed into a dock on the other side of the bridge. I am very curious to see where this investigation is going to go. Things like that are not cheap to repair. And now, obviously, if they haven't already done so, they're going to have to check the integrity of the Brooklyn Bridge and make sure that there is not any permanent damage that's been done to it. They're also going to have to investigate why the boat hit the Brooklyn Bridge in the first place. And hopefully we will get some answers for this. Another item that I've noticed that I've been keeping an eye on is, of course, Donald Trump and things that are going on with our government. So, Donald Trump has made some pretty, I want to say, outrageous claims, claiming there's big announcements that's going to be made, kind of like a teaser. My thought is, why are you saying anything if you're not prepared to give us some details on what these announcements are? I did notice that he announced that there was a ceasefire between two regions. Not even within 24 hours, this ceasefire was being violated. Now, I understand that things need to be negotiated, but I believe that this was very premature. The two nations in question, they have been at each other's throats for quite a while. So it's really difficult to see a ceasefire happen for any length of time. It can happen. But both sides have to be willing to maintain that ceasefire. If they're not maintaining it, then my question is, what's the point in making the negotiation in the first place, if it's not to just stall and regroup? Something to think about. I've also been keeping track of more goings on overseas in Ukraine and in Israel, and of course, in my opinion, from what I see, it's just not going well. These wars shouldn't be happening, but they are. So the biggest question is, how do we deal with these types of situations as a race, as a human race? There are a few ways that we can handle it. There's a few ways that we can handle what's happening within our own governments. It's a matter of what the people ultimately decide as a group. Within our nation, we have a nationwide protest coming up on June 14th. I will be going live on June 14th for at least a little while during the protest. The people speak. And so it's important to get the word out there. Let everyone hear what the people are saying, what we are saying to each other. I hope that y'all will join me for that. It's going to be interesting. I believe that one more item that I'd like to talk about. I have been keeping up with our local representative, Marie Glusenkamp Perez, House of Representatives, District 3. And what I have seen is that her constituents are not happy, and that is including myself. So, one of the things I've noticed, and I think this is probably really one of the most important things, is that she is so focused on one or two issues, and there are a wide range of issues that every Congress member must have an opinion on. They must have an interpretation of the Constitution on. Even if it's not written down in an essay, they need to have an opinion about it. They need to have an interpretation. Her focus is the Right to Repair Act. It's about repairing our own vehicles, choosing who we want to repair our vehicles, and being afforded the same financial treatment as if we were to take it to a car dealership. Not everyone has the ability to wait for their car to be fixed. And sometimes a mechanic can take a week or better. It's important for these things to happen. However, it is not the only issue that we have in our nation right now. It's not even the biggest issue. One of the biggest reasons that District 3 is not happy with Marie Glusenkamp Perez is because she supported the SAVE Act, which basically limits voter rights against married women. If your ID, if your last name does not match your birth certificate, then you cannot vote. That violates all of our rights. It really does. If we wanted to get married, we wouldn't be able to change our last name because we would no longer be able to vote. It wouldn't match our birth records. It's understandable to verify citizenship, but there are many ways to do that. And oftentimes we can verify citizenship with just 3 pieces of paper. Registering to vote verifies your citizenship unless you are trying to commit fraud. And that doesn't really happen very often. You don't really hear about a lot of people who are registering to vote, but they're not actually citizens. And claiming that is what's happening is putting a lot of misinformation out there. So when we decide about our voter rights, we need to do so as a group. Instead of having one of our congressmen or congress members saying, I'm just going to support this bill because this is what I believe, they need to return to the people and say, look, I'm voting on your behalf. What is it that you want me to vote? How do you want me to vote? I've also seen video clips of Miss Perez being booed by her constituents. It's not usually a good sign. So, as her opponent, I have every intention, every available avenue to return to the people and say, this is what's happening in Congress. I need your opinion. Let's do this together. That is how every Congress member should work. It doesn't look to me like they do that. They oftentimes will say their piece, but they won't take appropriate action to make things happen to benefit the people. And we've seen this with different types of legislation that have gone through, especially most recently with the SAVE Act and a couple of other pieces of legislation that are pretty controversial, especially regarding executive orders and such. Congress is not coming together. Our Congress members are scattered as far as what they're supporting. And unfortunately, there are too many people in Congress who are supportive of controversial pieces of legislation or executive orders or, judgments from the Supreme Court. These are things that we are going to need to address very quickly and in the name of justice. There's no reason why we should get violent about it, which is one of the reasons why I believe in the 5051 protests that is coming up. That's the nationwide protest on June 14th. Going to that, seeing what the people are saying, making sure that the people are heard through as many avenues, as many streams as possible. That's going to help us get the word out. So making sure that we are all coming together, making sure that District 3 is coming together to not just make sure that all of our issues are addressed, but to make sure that the most important issues are addressed first. Making sure that our rights are intact. Making sure that our people have access to their Congress member, whether it is a senator or a representative in the House. Having that constant communication, and by constant I don't mean necessarily every single minute of every single day, but if a Congress member needs the people, needs the opinion of the people to make the best decision for the people, they should have access to the people. The people should have access to the member that represents them. So, with that, as a Congress member, as representative for District 3, should I be voted in, we'll definitely be working with the governor and the AG to make sure that all of our rights are secure, making sure that Washingtonians have what we need to make sure our own disasters have been dealt with, that we're in the process of recovery, that we prevent disasters from happening, such as wildfires and floods, different stuff like that. We have the ability to do this. We also have the ability to make our state a self-sufficient state where intrastate trade and interstate trade benefits our state. It benefits the other states. Instead of having a deficit like we have now. And not every state has a deficit, but Washington does at this time. It's important to investigate why we have such a deficit, but as a member of our elected Congress, as a member of our government, it's important for us to work together to be able to accomplish these things. Working with our governor, I believe, would be the best option. And the Governor Ferguson seems like he is more reasonable than past governors. I've been keeping track of what he has been passing as far as legislation in our state and protecting our rights. So far, I am in agreement with most of it. I do question some of it, but that's for another time. I do hope that y'all will check out my proposals for our state, because they do apply to the nation as well. And everything that I have suggested regarding even our immigration issues within our own state can be addressed through the National Recovery Act, through making sure that we implement it on a statewide basis and show that it can work in a very productive way to keep the flow of immigration at a steady pace, making sure that people are taking legal pathways, and basically eliminating up to 90% of the illegal immigration status of a lot of our people, making sure that those who have been accused of being members of a Venezuelan gang or a Mexican cartel gang, that they have due process, because they're on our soil, they are within our jurisdiction, they are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, so due process does apply. It's a right that we all have. This way, we eliminate as much misinformation and false claims as possible. That's why we have the judicial system that we have. It's not perfect, and it does fail sometimes, but it also succeeds more often than it fails. Working together, we can make it happen one way or the other. That is all I have for today. Thank you for your time, and may our path lead to peace and prosperity.